Rock Hard from 1980 by Suzi Quatro. Suzi has a new album, No Control, coming out soon, and she'll be touring Australia in the immediate future. We're going to talk about all of that. She's with me once again on Revenge of the 80s Radio. Welcome back, Suzi Quatro.
Hi, nice to be talking to you again.
It's great to have you back on. Our listeners who had not heard our first interview can check it out on the YouTube channel we have and the website revengeofthe80sradio.com. Let's get into No Control right away. A lot of real, original, down-home roots rock feel to this. What brought you back to the studio to create No Control?
I have to say that this was kind of an accident. That's the only way I can describe it. It wasn't like, oh, I need to go and make an album. Nothing like that happened. It was simply my son coming to me. He said it for a lot of years now, but finally he said it to me with the right attitude. He said, I need to write some songs with you. I said, okay, what you got? And he played me a little riff, and I liked it. I said, okay, I can work with that. That's quite good. And it became Don't Do Me Wrong. And we went in with a demo. We were making a demo, and it was working. Did another song. That was working. Wrote another one. That was working. And I think it was about on the third one. I mean, I had no plans. We were just having fun. I said to my son and the engineer, I said, you know what? We're making an album. This is now serious. And we all agreed. And all of a sudden, we were making an album. And I kept saying all the way through, okay, this is an accident. Nobody knew this was going to happen. The key word here is organic. And I want it organic from start to finish. I don't want to plan any song. I don't want to push any song in any particular direction. I want every single thing we're writing and laying down to happen naturally. And this is what people are reacting to on this album. They're reacting to the realness of this recording. I think you'll probably say the same thing. It really is real, isn't it? It's real. It's organic.
Before we get into that, you said with the right attitude beforehand with your son. So you said you were waiting a little while for this and you were waiting for it to come out. What was the right attitude?
Yeah, he was, well, before that, it was kind of, you know what, I'd really like to do this. I'd really like to do that. It was hesitant almost. Only this time he said, I really need to write with you now. I went, okay. That was the right attitude. That meant he was ready. He was ready.
So how did your two approaches to songwriting mesh as you also had the album working out where you wanted to let everything roll?
I'm trying to think if he didn't show me anything that I didn't use. He's very much a riff guitar player. I mean, the riff on No Soul Control is terrific. And it was at the end of one of the sessions. He said, oh, wait, before we go home, because it had been a long day. I always remember this. He said, I got something to show you that I came up with yesterday. I said, okay. He said, I'm not sure if I should show you. So, of course, I'm intrigued. I said, why not? And he said, because I don't know, maybe it's too heavy for you. So, of course, I said, show me. And it was No Solo Control. And I remember saying, wow, that's a really unusual riff. Put it on a tape there, and I'll go in the other part of the studio and I'll work on it. And it was honestly within 20 minutes. The melody and the lyrics were all there. It just was one of those things that even when I got back into the room then, there was only the bass and the guitar riff and a drum machine just to put it down, you know? And I put the actual vocal on it at that point. I wanted to get it out so bad. I put the vocal on. And it was the hairs on the back of my neck were standing up. So I knew we had something.
That should be a good sign. Now, your first single, No Soul, No Control, which we'll play in a little while, carries a message we all either should wish we had followed or should follow, with the lyrical line, don't let yourself go for anyone.
Correct. I keep saying it. It sings it in the song. I gotta hold on to me. It's so important. I gotta hold on to me. It's my mantra my whole life. And I say it to everybody, and I mean it, otherwise I wouldn't be singing it. Don't collapse into your job. Don't collapse into a relationship. There's a little part of you that you have to hold on to. That's you. And don't give that to anybody or anything, or you've lost your soul and you've lost your control. That's why I say no soul, no control. And I mean it.
I like the horns, though. I like the fact that you have a lot of horns in this album.
Yes, there were 4 tracks, funny enough, as the songs were developing and they were going down, and we were all talking, and we'd say, okay, yeah, this needs piano here, but, you know, the first thing was to put the real drums on, which was great. But there were 4 tracks that were obviously horn section tracks. I gave them to my saxophone player, Ray Beavis, who does the arrangements. And after playing him the four I wanted him to put arrangements on, I then played him strings. And I said, here's one of the ones everybody's picking out because it's such an unusual song. And I didn't give it to him, and he heard it and he went, oh. He said, do you mind if I do a horn arrangement on this? And I said, on this one? And he said, yes. And I said, well, I didn't hear one, but he said, look, here's the deal. Let me do what I'm hearing. And if you don't use it, you don't pay for the arrangement. And I thought, oh my God, he really wants this. Because to work for free is really something.
Again, right attitude. There you go.
Yeah, great. Yeah. And so he got his way. So I said, okay, not expecting to like it. And he came in with the horn section. And all of us in the studio just went, holy shit. We went, oh my God. I had no idea. I thought that song was so high anyway. I didn't think anything could add to it. And he did an amazing job. So thank God Ray insisted on it. That's all I can say.
It's not even just the horns. You have the piano, you have the vocal harmonies in there. It's a very different track than maybe fans might expect.
It is. And it was one of those unavoidable metamorphoses that happened. I had this great bass riff. It started with a bass riff. And then I was playing it and I was going, strings, this weird thing, and I was showing it to my son and I kept going, strings. And he kept going, Mom, I heard you the first time. I kept singing it over and over again. We got into the studio and I said to the engineer, strings. He said, I heard you. Somebody wanted to shoot me,
Hey,
but the funny
roll.
thing is, but that strange strings is actually what is the whole thrust of the song, really, isn't it? It's the riff and that little string line, saying it. And it's a very timely track because it's about today's world, and that it doesn't matter what color, religion, creed, what country, doesn't matter. We're all one human race and we're held together by strings. So it's a really important song for this world that we live in today.
It is. And along with the more unusual tracks, and we're going to get into a couple of them, you did throw back to some real roots rock music, and a lot of that is what you're known for. So you're listening to Macho Man, Going Home, Easy Pickings. You really bring it back to what rock was all about. And if you listen to radio today, at least in America, it would seem like even with the newer, somewhat rock groups, you might think that sound was dying. But no, you're bringing it back again. That's what we need.
Yeah, everybody is reacting to this. They're all kind of saying the same thing. First, I get, wow. And then I get, I didn't expect this. And then I get, oh, you've come full circle. Yes, I have. But doesn't mean I don't sound anything like the 70s, because that was a different sound. But
Right.
I've got that same edge, attitude, and energy as I started with. But I've been around the block and back again, and so you're hearing everything I've gathered on my travels. So this is a well-rounded life album, but it's rock and roll.
Real rock and roll, yes, but there are different things in No Control, and I want to throw one of them at you. I'm listening to the album, and all of a sudden I'm hearing Caribbean music. Love Isn't Fair. That's extremely different.
Yes.
But as you said, you and your son decided to make this an album where things would just roll. Let it happen, not overthink it. So how did this one come together, Suzi?
I was sitting in Hamburg, playing my bass in our Hamburg home. I'm married to a German man. We have a home in Hamburg. And I was playing my bass, just upstairs playing my bass. And I went, dum, 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 dum. And it was a great riff. And then I went, love isn't fair. I went, oh my God, what am I writing here? So, and then immediately came to my mind, it's like kind of a Maverick tune. Well, then let's write it. That was the genre it was in, So I didn't change it. I didn't think, oh, I can't write one like that. No, I didn't think that. I just said, let's write it. That's what it is. Let's write it. Great track. And another one in that same kind of thing is Heart on the Line, the bonus track for the album. I showed that to my son on guitar. And then I was saying to him, now, I think we should do this with it, and it should go here, and then some BVs here. And he said, no. And I said, what do you mean, no? It's my song. And he said, no, because I'd written it. He said, no. He said, in fact, it's beautiful. Me watching you on your acoustic there, playing it, singing it, and this is how it should go down. And I went, oh. And I still wasn't convinced at all. We got in the studio. I laid the guitar down. I sang a vocal. I went into the control room and listened to it, and I went, I see what you mean. It has a charm. It's raw and it's naked, and it's very emotional, and it would be wrong to mess that up with BVs and bass and I mean a little bass is on that, but BVs, drums, other guitars. No, it is an unplugged emotional raw track. So that's what I mean by this album is organic.
Very, very. And of course, a few throwbacks to the 60s and 70s, whether it be part of a song or the whole track, Suzi. I Could Teach You to Fly is something that I saw as a throwback to that era, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just what I heard. And again, sometimes I get wax in my ears, so that's what happens.
You absolutely got that correct. When I first started to write it, the riff on the guitar, and I started to sing, I had that first line, you can't, you don't ever be so lonely. Did that first line, I went, ooh. And in my head, I immediately thought, 60s, my era. I grew up in the 60s. So it came out that way, and I didn't stop it. Like, again, I didn't stop it. It was a throwback to the 60s, not a copy, but I went back into the 60s atmosphere in my teenage years. And that's what that was. And it was always going to be a horn song, Matt. Always.
Suzi Quatro was with me here on Revenge of the 80s Radio. The new album's No Control. She's going to be touring. We're going to talk about that. But first, since I have you here, I would be remiss if I did not bring this up. I want to take our listeners back a few years to a conversation we had here with Cherie Currie after Joan Jett was set to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I concur with this. Basically, I asked whether she thought she and the Runaways should be in, but she said it was really time before she gets in to put you in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame first.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, does it really? Let's cut to the chase. And yeah, and I've just done a big Billboard article on that. I'm sure everybody's read it. I don't, let me say, I don't begrudge anybody, none whatsoever. I don't mind who's in there. It's not my place to begrudge anybody. And I'm sure whoever's in there is deserving of it. What I object to is ignoring you can't put it this way. You can't rewrite history to suit your organization. I was first, at least 7 years before anybody else came along. So that should be honored. I was the first female successful rock and roll musician to have a hit. And that is what that organization should be honoring first and foremost. And yes, it pisses me off because it's not correct. You can't rewrite history. It's not right.
It's not only that, Suzi. The way I look at it is, considering your body of work, your influence, and the way you contributed to it, maybe even changed the way women were seen in rock and roll.
Yes, even Happy Days did that, Don't forget I had hits in 73. I was touring America from 74 onwards, all over the place. I did that Cooper Welcome to My Nightmare, 85 shows. I was there. I was happening. I had a lower end hits and all that, but doing lots of gigs and selling albums. Then I did Happy Days in 77, 78, and 79, playing a female bass player. So all the time changing the attitude of women. Otherwise, nobody else could have come through. I broke the mold. I made the change.
Women didn't have that many rock heroes to look up to for a long time. Certainly not many who played the bass. And I see a lot of great female bass players, great female guitarists, mainly because of your work and musicians like you, that they can wield an axe and hammer out some excellent riffs.
I've been thanked by basically everybody in the business all the way through the years, whoever I meet. I mean, like I always say, it's kind of like a no-brainer. You can't ignore the timeline of how it happened and when it happened and why it happened. So I'm hoping that they will eventually put that correct, because otherwise I can't take the organization seriously, to tell you the truth.
It's true, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame seems to have an American bias.
Just wrong, but it's just wrong.
I agree, and you're from Detroit, so that counts.
It could be a break, yeah.
And not only that, I say the same thing about the MC5 and the Pogues, so it's not just you. There are a lot of great artists who have been left out. And
but it's even more important that I'm the first female. That kind of really beggars disbelief,
I agree with that. I know you've been gracious about it all these years, and I don't trust the clickbait headlines and all that, so I wanted to hear it from your mouth and have the listeners hear it directly from you.
Yes, it's not the facts, it's not fair, and it's not true. So end of. Get it right.
On the other hand, Suzi, there's a documentary out called Suzi Q. It's about your life and story. They interview several big stars in it. That's happening.
Yeah, it's a real good DVD. I just was working on it yesterday. I made the proviso that I don't want to whitewash. It's not what I'm all about. I'm a very open, honest person. And I always have, as I said to my director all along, as long as what's in there is the truth, I'm happy with it. And what isn't the truth goes out. So this this documentary is the real story. It will be out very soon now. I just finished off the bits yesterday. I think they're premiering it in September. And yeah, it's all good stuff. So yes, another rendition to get in there. Yeah. You know, I'm tired of saying it now. I'm just tired of saying it. It's just so stupid.
Suzi Quatro is with me on Revenge of the 80s Radio. Let's go into the future. Very soon you'll embark on the Red Hot Summer Tour, co-headlining with other big names. Tell us a bit about that.
It's the third time I've done it, the headlining, and it's fun. It's fun for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's thousands and thousands of people, and there's some great acts on. The Angels, I've been a fan of them forever. Baby Animals, I just love the other Suzi. She's just great. There's the Jets on, the Screaming Jets. The good thing is unusually, we have 5 days off and we work only on the weekends. So never, this is unheard of on tour, that you have time to yourself for 5 days. I sometimes don't know what to do with myself, you know? So but it's great. This is my third one, and it's been very successful so far.
You can always hit the beaches by Melbourne. That's always fun.
There you go.
Listeners to our Australian stations can find out about the Red Hot Summer Tour and how to get tickets on Suzi's website.
My website, www.suziquatro.com.
That's SuziQuatro.com. Check it out, get your tickets, and find out more. Suzi Quatro, I want to thank you again for being with us on Revenge of the 80s Radio.
It's been my pleasure, and we'll speak again soon, no doubt.
Yes, we will. And good luck with the album, No Control. Good luck with the tour. Good luck with all the live work you're going to be doing. Let's play your first single from No Control, No Soul, No Control, on Revenge of the 80s Radio.